Part 88. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 871. Now the demon Xianxia feels that if she joins forces with Zetian, even if she cannot kill the demon and escape, there will still be no problem. Having made her decision, Xianxia did not change her route and kept walking forward. However, we are still somewhat far away from that demon. Regardless of spiritual cultivation or demonic cultivation, if we encounter a real demon, we will only avoid it, and no one will bump into it. Hence, although Xianxia still walked forward, he and Mo were already in the wrong direction, and they were 20 or 30 meters apart. The demon saw a young man walking in the distance and looked at him carefully. Seeing that he had an ordinary appearance and that he was a man, he didn't pay much attention. He just glanced at him and walked away with Xianxia. However, his eyes still stayed on Jishan for a moment, mainly because the spiritual plant that uses leaves instead of wings to fly is so strange. Seeing that the demons did not recognize her, Xianxia breathed a sigh of relief. At the same time, she was also sure that the demons were looking for her through her appearance. Since she no longer had to worry about being discovered by the devil, Xianxia walked briskly. At this time, Xianxia, who had been badly tortured last night, woke up. Last night, Xianxia was thrown out by Jishan. Because of the distance and strength, Xianxia had already passed out. After such a fall, she didn't even move. She didn't wake up until now. She was also lucky. From the time she passed out until dawn, not a single demon passed by where she was. The spiritual cultivators and demon cultivators who passed by knew she was a demon when they saw her clothes, even if they saw her pass out. And no one dared to provoke her. They have seen in public how cruel the demon is to kill the spiritual cultivator and how cruel the demon cultivator is. There wasn't even a chance to resist. Therefore, Xianxia was lucky not to continue to be abused. The reason why I say this is because no one can kill her except the devil. Even if there are spiritual cultivators and demon cultivators who attack her, they can only be called abuse. As soon as Xianxia woke up, she felt the pain from the inside to the outside of her body that was worse than death. She didn't even dare to breathe, it was so painful that she wanted to die immediately. She had no choice but to stand upright like this. She was worried about meeting other demons. When she was not injured, she was no match for other demons. Now if she met other demons, she would not even have a chance to resist and be swallowed up by the other demons immediately. Completely dead. Once these clone demons are swallowed by magic power, they will only end up with their souls scattered, and there will never be any afterlife. She didn't understand why the vine forest attacked her last night. After all, she saw people and demons walking through the vine forest without being attacked, so she dared to get close to them. Although she didn't know why the vines were so cruel to her, yesterday's experience made her understand that as a clone demon, she would not die so easily. Unless the same kind of creature devoured her power, it would be impossible for other people to kill her. Xianxia endured the severe pain and took out a healing elixir and swallowed it. After a while, the pain in her body finally eased. She slowly got up from the ground, and then she discovered a hole in the pit of her heart. It was her heart. She sneered, and she was indeed no longer alone. Normal people, no matter how strong your cultivation level is, you will die if you have such a big hole in your heart. There was such a big hole in her heart, and she was thrown out and fell to the ground. She was still alive. The only explanation was that she was not a human being. Xianxia was in a state of mind at this time and could calmly face the fact that she was no longer a human being. Calmly, he took out an elixir for treating wounds, crushed it and applied it to the pit of his heart. The wound was soon healed. Then he found some elixirs for treating the internal organs and swallowed several of them. Only then did he feel that the injuries on his body were healed from the inside out. She was glad that although she was no longer a human being, these pills were still useful to her. Qin Sui looked around. There were people walking by in the distance, including spiritual cultivators and demon cultivators. She did not see any other demonic clones. Qin Sui's eyes flashed with a dark light. She didn't encounter the clone demon who would have made herself half dead. Even if she found Yan Xiangluo, could she kill Yan Xiangluo? Obviously, she has little confidence. Even though the demon lord said that whoever kills Yan Xiangluo will get the real power that belongs to the demon, she does not believe this. She felt it was unnecessary to compete with so many clone demons for a credit that had no hope of winning. Those demon clones must be looking for Yan Xiangluo now. Fan Xiangluo will inevitably die this time. Although he cannot kill her with his own hands, as long as he can kill Yan Xiangluo, it doesn't matter whether he kills her with his own hands or not. In this case, Qin Sui looked at the place where she had sensed the real demonic power before, biting her lip, and walked there. Since you are the weakest, go and guard there first and look for opportunities to get the demon's power. As long as you have the power of the real demon, you don't have to die. As for the vines that tortured you to the point of death last night, it's not too late to come back and take revenge after you get the power of the real demon. The more Qin Sui thought about it, the more she felt that this decision was the most correct. At this time, Qin Sui did not know that the decision she made was indeed the right one. But Yan Xiangluo didn't know that she was doing this, but instead helped Qin Sui. At this time, Ji Zhong fought from noon to the early morning of the next day, looking at the divine beast that he had finally found with all his strength. The tunnel of the cave led all the way to the ground, and all kinds of monsters emerged one after another. Ji Zhong tried his best to kill countless monsters and finally found the place where the 4 great beasts' auras were located. This is the mythical beast? Ji Zhong looked at an emerald green jade bowl, with a long worm as thick as his index finger coiled inside. The most important thing was that the long worm was coiled around a little chicken with a weak breath. This bowl is the same size as the bowl they usually eat in, which shows how small the worms and chicks are. Ji Zhong's lips twitched. Are you Qinglong and Suzaku? Of course, Chang Chong said, with pride in his tone. Ji Zhong glanced at it. This is the first time I have seen a dragon that looks like a worm. Qinglong became angry because of embarrassment. It's not that you came too late. It would be nice if you came a few days later and could see earthworms. Ji Zhong sneered, you are quite self-aware. Qinglong was choked immediately. His master had been reincarnated, but his mouth was still so poisonous. Suzaku said weakly, Master, please make a contract with us first. We are really about to be unable to survive. Ji Zhong had already found Xuanhuan and Beihu, so he naturally knew that the first step to find them was to make a contract. Although they were also his contract beasts in the previous life, and they were soul contract beasts, their current strength was extremely weak. Only he could use the soul contract method. Only by contracting with them again can they regain some of their strength. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 872. When the 4 great beasts meet, the 4 of them can only help each other regain their strength as soon as possible. Only then can they regain the true strength of the 4 great beasts. Ji Zhong made a contract with them first, and the contract was established. Qinglong finally grew up and looked like a snake. Suzaku's body was still the same as that of a chicken, but he was obviously more energetic and jumped out of the bowl with waving wings. Ji Zhong's eyes twitched this time. Are these the 4 divine beasts? When he met Baihu and Xuanhuan before, he also disliked them. Now they are much stronger than Qinglong and Suzaku. At least the 2 of them still maintain their original appearance and still have some strength. Is it safe here? Ji Zhong asked. He really didn't expect that he would find the remaining 2 sacred beasts Qinglong and Suzaku together this time. Once the 4 great beasts are gathered, all the memories of his previous life will be restored, but he needs time to receive these memories. There are just too many monsters here. I wonder if there are any monsters left? Accepting the memory is an urgent matter, so he can only ask these two. I pray in my heart that although these two look weak, they can be more reliable. Qinglong was about to speak when he was pressed down by Suzaku's claw. Master can find all the monsters here. All the monsters have been cleared away by the master. They will be safe in a short time. After listening to Zuck's words, Ji Zhong understood that the danger here was that all the monsters he encountered along the way had been killed by him. They were safe for the time being, but no one could guarantee whether there would be others. Danger is coming. It seems that Suzaku is more reliable than Qinglong. With a thought, Ji Zhong sent Qinglong and Suzaku into his spiritual pet space. Qinglong and Suzaku thought that they would see Behu and Xuanhuan when they entered the spiritual pet space, and they could immediately help each other restore the strength of the divine beasts, but there were only two of them in the spiritual pet space. Qinglong asked directly, "Master, you haven't found Behu and Xuanhuan yet?" "Found them, they are not here. You will meet again in the future." Ji Zhong walked back as soon as he finished speaking. Qinglong and Suzaku were stunned. White Tiger and Xuanhuan were both found by their master. Why are they not with their master? Where are they? Perceiving that their master had begun to accept the memories of his previous life, Qinglong and Suzaku did not dare to disturb him, so they could only practice on their own first. Ji Zhong began to accept the memories of his past life while walking. At this time, a large number of memories flooded into his consciousness, which made him very uncomfortable. Had he not learned to multi-purpose from Luo, he might have had to receive the memories here before leaving, which would have been even more dangerous. This corridor is not short. Even though he was wasting time due to constant fighting, there was no obstacle when he went back. He estimated that it would take at least 2 hours to get out. As long as he is not in danger at this time, he can completely receive the memories of his previous life. Ji Zhong was still very uneasy. After all, in 2 hours, he would know all the experiences he had with Luo in his previous life. He was not worried at all. Although it is very likely that he will recover all the memories of his previous life first, Luo will also recover his memories of his previous life sooner or later. What he is most worried about is whether he did something sorry for Luo in his previous life. In his heart, as long as he didn't do anything to feel sorry for Luo, everything else didn't matter. Time passed quickly, and Yanxiang Luo walked away all morning. In addition to the souls that kept coming to give her gift rings, Zetian kept finding the gift rings. There was still no clue about what she was looking for. Seeing that it is noon, there are still 3.5 days before we leave here. Yanxiang Luo was really anxious at this time. Distraught, she simply stopped walking and sat down to take out some food and eat it. This is a habit she has shared in her 2 lives. When she is in a bad mood, or when something cannot be decided, she will fill up her unhappiness with delicious food. Because of this, her cooking skills are excellent. Yanxiang Luo glanced at the clouds on the space stone milk in Pangu space, still sleeping. Zetian was not idle, he continued to search around her, and after a while he dug out 2 more rings. Yanxiang Luo took the storage rings and wanted to put them away immediately, but she suddenly felt that the 2 storage rings had different auras from the storage rings she found before. But if you want to know the difference, you can only use the power of your spiritual consciousness to investigate. When she uses the power of her spiritual consciousness, she is worried that she will be discovered by the sealed demon, and Yanxiang Luo is a little tangled. Looking carefully, the 2 storage rings in his hand are indeed different from the previous storage rings. This difference does not mean that the styles are different. Previous rings for holding things were also available in various shapes. These 2 rings are obviously much heavier than the previous rings for holding things, and their auras are also different. She found that this breath seemed to be the imprint of divine consciousness, because she had seen too many images of divine consciousness, so she was very familiar with the breath left by divine consciousness. The auras on these two gift rings are the same as the auras of the spiritual consciousness of several senior brothers. Is there a divine mark on this gift ring? Yan Xianglue felt that these two gift-collecting rings could not have the image of the divine consciousness, so they could only be the imprint of the divine consciousness, which was similar to the aura of the image of the divine consciousness. Other holding rings do not have the imprint of divine consciousness, but these two holding rings actually still have the imprint of divine consciousness on them. Since the owner of the storage ring must have died when it is underground, the divine imprint on the storage ring will automatically disappear after the death of the owner. There are only two situations in which the imprint of divine consciousness is still there. One is that the master is still alive, and the other is that the master is dead, but was very powerful during his lifetime and could preserve the imprint of divine consciousness for a longer period of time. These two storage rings should be the latter. Yan Xiangluo's current strength is not enough to erase the mark of divine consciousness on it, not to mention that she does not dare to use the power of divine consciousness now. Just when Yan Xiangluo was about to put away the two storage rings separately, two figures suddenly appeared in front of her eyes. Yan Xiangluo almost said swear words. Did she really have the consciousness to take a photo? Looking at the clothes and appearance of the two people, they have a feeling of being superior. They should have been looked up to by others during their lifetime. Such two people are definitely not strong people who came to the higher continent to experience. Yan Xiangluo was originally sitting cross-legged on the ground eating. When she saw the photos of the two of them, she quickly stood up and said in a respectful tone, "Are you two the owners of these two gift rings?" The two of them were stunned for a moment when they saw Yan Xiangluo, and then they were a little surprised when they saw each other. "I didn't expect that we would meet again." The two of them looked at Yan Xiangluo and said this. Obviously, they were not talking about each other, but about her. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 873. It became clear to Yan Xiang that these two people obviously knew her, but they must have known her from the previous life. She shrugged, "You must have known me from my previous life." "I'm sorry, I haven't recovered my memory from my previous life, and I don't know you too." The two of them were stunned for a moment, then looked around and said at the same time, "No wonder." Yan Xiangluo shook the two gift rings and said, "Since you have left the imprint of your spiritual consciousness on the gift rings and also left a photo of your spiritual consciousness, you must have something to explain." The two nodded. "Originally, I wanted to tell you what's inside. Since you haven't recovered the memory of your previous life yet, and your current cultivation level is too low, you can't take out what's inside, so we can't say more." "What's up?" "Just remember that there are things to defeat demons inside, and you can open them when your strength allows." "You knew my reincarnation would come here." Yan Xiangluo was shocked. The two of them shook their heads. "We don't know. We left the photos with our spiritual consciousness just to tell the people who are destined to get the ring to tell us about the existence of demons and how to deal with them. I didn't expect that the person destined to get our ring is you." Yan Xiang nodded. "Are you two powerful men who participated in sealing the demon?" The two of them nodded together. "There were many strong people who sealed the demon at that time, and we were just one of them." Yan Xiangluo asked again, "Did any of the strong men who sealed the demon survive?" The two of them shook their heads in unison. "No." "So miserable?" Yu Xiangluo's heart was severely shaken. So many powerful people were dead, so the only way to seal the devil here was to seal it here. How powerful is the devil? Is it true that the devil cannot be killed? If the demon breaks through the seal, will there be anyone strong in Zhuangtian who can seal it? This is what Yan Xiangluo is most worried about. The two of them did not answer her immediately. After a while, they said, "We don't know if there is such a strong person, but if the seal is broken this time, it is unlikely to be sealed again." "Why?" Yan Xiongluo was a little surprised. Since he could seal it once, wouldn't there be no other powerful person who could seal the demon again with such a powerful Zhongtian? The two of them sighed at the same time. Even if there are strong men of that strength in Zhongtian, they can't find the sacred objects that seal the demon. You mean that the ability to seal the demon here didn't all rely on the strength of your powerful men? Yu Xiongluo understood what they meant. Right. What is the holy object you are talking about? Yan Xiongluo asked. You will know after you recover the memory of your previous life. It was obviously not that they didn't want to tell him, but that they couldn't. Yan Xiongluo sighed and said, I don't know if I can still live long enough to recover my past life memories. Of course, the two said in unison. Yan Xiongluo looked at the two of them. Did you know that I was attacked by the devil as soon as I came in? If it hadn't been for my spiritual pet to save me, I would have died under the power of the devil. Now I don't dare to use the power of the gods. The devil used my spiritual power to find me and wanted to kill me, so you have quite a lot of confidence in me. The two looked at each other, and one of them smiled and said, You girl, although you haven't recovered the memory of your previous life, your temperament is exactly the same as that of your previous life. You don't need to deceive us. If you can tell us, we will definitely tell you everything. It's the law of heaven. Even if we are already conscious, we can't violate it. Yan Xiongluo discovered this little trick and stopped pretending. Everyone said this, making it seem like the world would be destroyed without me. Just like that, I don't think I'm that important. The two of them spoke seriously. It doesn't matter whether it's serious or not, you will know later. Yan Xiongluo saw that the traces of their consciousness had faded, and knew that they were going to disappear, and they would disappear completely. For a moment, a very sad emotion came over me. I'm very sad. There was also an unspeakable regret in the eyes of the two of them. We are very content to see you again. As for the future, let it happen as it happens. They have experienced it personally and know Yan Xiongluo's master, so they know very well what Yan Xiongluo will face in the future. If the demon breaks through the seal, there is only one way, which is to completely eliminate it. If this is not possible, the world will really be no different from destruction. They can't say anything to force Yan Xiongluo now, and they can't use any justice to control her. No one knows better than them the price her disciple paid. Although she has not yet recovered the memory of her past life, she had sad emotions when facing them. This is a memory engraved in her soul. Although she has not yet awakened, she can empathize with them. The fact that this place has become so desolate means that there is no power for the devil to absorb, and he has not yet succeeded in breaking through, which means that the power of breakthrough has not been accumulated enough, so you still have a chance. Yan Xiongluo understood that the reason why this place became desolate was because the aura and power here were completely absorbed by the demon. Although she really wanted to tell them, the demon had found other ways to absorb power, which was to absorb the power of the incoming demonic cultivation and spiritual cultivation. Now, many demons were summoned to help it break through the seal. But considering that they are just a ray of consciousness now and will disappear soon, there is no need to let them leave uneasy at the last moment. Don't worry, evil will never prevail against good. Heaven will always be on the side of justice. Since ancient times, heroes have emerged from youth. I believe there will be many righteous people who will stand up and continue what you have not finished, Yu Xiongluo said in a firm and confident tone. Although these words were meant to appease the two of them, Yan Xiongluo actually thought so in her heart. Although this world respects the strong, many strong people may not necessarily have a righteous heart, but there are definitely not a few strong people who have righteousness. Just seeing how the people from the 9UN continent changed after entering the first trial land, it shows that when people and demons are at stake, many righteous people will inevitably emerge. I hope so. The two of them naturally hope for such a day, otherwise all their sacrifices will be in vain. You know my master, right? Yan Xiongluo suddenly asked. Hearing this, the two of them looked at Yan Xiongluo. you have seen us, and you will see your master soon. If you want to know anything, ask your master then. Yu Xianglou just asked, hoping to confirm whether the master was one of the powerful people who sealed the demon back then. When they said this, Yan Xianglou was determined. Her master was one of the powerful people who sealed the demon back then, and her senior brothers should be too, but what about herself? The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 874. If you participate, how can you be reincarnated? If you did not participate, why did you not participate? What kind of role was Ji Kong in her previous life? Yan Xianglou knew that Ji Hong had recovered part of his past life memories, but he didn't say anything more to her. Although she really doesn't want to mix the past and present lives together, nor does she want to use everything she experienced in the past life to measure Ji Hong in this life. She herself has eyes and a heart, and can see Ji Hong's true feelings for her. However, she will soon recover all her past life memories. What should she do if there is really something? Can everything in the present life be just a passing cloud? It would be fine if they didn't know, but if they both had to recover their memories of their previous lives, Yan Xianglou always felt like heaven was playing tricks on them. Yan Xianglou's heart was a little confused. She knew very well that she was getting closer to the truth. After all, according to their words, I can see the master here. When you meet master, it's time for the truth to come out. But there are only 3.5 days left. Where is the master? Since you can find our storage ring, you should also look for other people's storage rings. It will be of great help to you in the future. The mental images of the two people have faded into just an outline, and their speaking voices are as weak as those of mosquitoes. Yan Xianglou knew that they were going to disappear completely, so she quickly asked the last question, how many such rings can I find? It's not that she doesn't want to ask more questions, but she knows very well that they can't answer her many questions. It's not that they don't want to answer her, but the rules of heaven don't allow it. They didn't have much time, and they didn't allow her to ask more questions. This should be the last question. Yan Xianglou did not directly ask how many powerful men were participating in the sealing demon at that time. Since they reminded her to find more rings left by powerful men, there must be a number. As long as she knows this number, it is equivalent to knowing how many powerful men participated in the demon sealing. Should they be allowed to answer such an obscure question? Both of them admired Yan Xianglou's intelligence, but they were about to dissipate and had no time to say anything more. They couldn't praise her even if they wanted to, so they quickly answered her, 360. As soon as these words were spoken, the mental images of the two people completely dissipated. Yan Xianglou stared blankly into space, then lowered her head to look at the two storage rings in her hands. The last words the two told her echoed in her mind. 360? In other words, there were a total of 360 powerful men in Zhongtian who participated in the sealing demon. This number really shocked her. It took so many people to seal a demon. How powerful was the demon at that time? Are the powerful men of the 9 heavens so weak? Originally, she thought that there were many god-level powerful men from the higher continents here. If they gathered together, if the demon broke through the seal, he would be completely killed. But if so many powerful men from the 9 heavens could not kill the demons back then, could they, monks from the higher continent, do it? The answer is yes, absolutely not possible. She was curious as to why demons had so much power but human monks did not. The most important thing is, what is the sacred object that they said can play a key role in sealing the devil? Can you find it again? Master, I feel the same spiritual energy as these two holding rings. Zhetian's words interrupted her thoughts. Yan Xianglou found a separate brocade box to put the two storage rings in her hand, preparing to put all the powerful storage rings that participated in the sealing demon here. Bent down to put away the food box, not eating the unfinished food in the mood. He said to Jishan, Let's go. Next, we will mainly look for a holding ring with such aura. Since these holding rings were left behind by the powerful men who sealed the demon at that time, the two powerful men also said just now that she should try her best to find these holding rings, which would be helpful in confronting the devil in the future. Then she would make this her goal first, and maybe she could meet her master from her previous life in the process. The photos of the senior brothers she met before all said that she would recover all her past life memories before meeting her master, but now she has only recovered part of her memory. Is it because her memory has not been fully recovered, so she cannot see her master from previous life? But she didn't know where to look for her past life memories. Just like getting part of her past life memories, she simply got it by mistake, or it was arranged by herself in the previous life. A light flashed through my mind. Yes, if getting back the memory was arranged by me in my previous life, then I will definitely encounter the opportunity to get back the memory from my previous life. Thinking of this, Xianxia's heavy mood felt slightly better. Her mood has been ups and downs several times in the past few days. Sometimes she feels worried about gains and losses, sometimes she feels that God is about to give her a big responsibility, and sometimes she feels that she is too small to carry such a heavy burden. But everything is going in this direction again, and I couldn't refuse. Xianxia knew that now she had no choice but to go all the way. She could also escape, but now that she knew the existence of the devil, escaping was meaningless. Now she is not facing off against the demons, but the entire human race of demons is facing off. This is a battle between humans and demons. If the demons win, humans will be enslaved by demons in the future, or even become demons, and the world will be completely destroyed. Anyone with a bit of conscience cannot retreat and has no way out. Two leaves suddenly flashed and flew across the sky, maybe because they had found two holding rings, or maybe this place was not very far from the place where the demon was sealed. In one afternoon, Jishan found more than 160 rings left by powerful men, but none of them had any traces of his spiritual consciousness on them. Xianxialuo didn't know why only the two holding rings had spiritual images on them. However, every holding ring has a divine mark on it, and Xianxialuo's current cultivation level cannot erase the divine mark on it. And even if she could do it, she didn't want to do it now. Even if she is strong enough, she still wants to wait until she recovers the memory of her previous life before erasing the imprints of divine consciousness on these rings. In this way, she knew that she could know which powerful person's ring it was through the divine mark on it. She will not use the things in it casually. Except for things to deal with demons, she will take them out and use them. If they have descendants, Yu Xianluo will give these things to their descendants. If there are no descendants, she will use the contents inside to do some good deeds, and pray that God will see that she has done good deeds for them and will not really let them completely lose their souls. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 875. At this time, Ji Zhong had walked out of the long tunnel of the cave and at the same time recovered all the memories of his previous life. Although he was in a state of embarrassment, it could not hide his extraordinary handsome face. It was just that such a peerless face had no expression, but it did not mean that there were no ups and downs of emotions in his heart. In fact, he had already had huge waves in his heart. Ji Zhong stood at the entrance of the cave, looking down the mountain and into the distance. In that direction were their enemies from the past and present. It was enough to shock him when he recovered part of his past life memories. Now he has recovered all his memories and understands the entire past life experience between him and Xianxia. The only thing he was glad about was that he had not betrayed her, but in the end she died because of him. Even though he did not live alone and had arranged everything to be reincarnated with her, when he thought about her previous life and was forced to trade her life for his chance to live, his heart ached like tearing. Ji Zhong knew that he could never be too kind to Luo in this life. Just because he had recovered all the memories of his previous life, Ji Hong knew what Luoluo was going through at this time. She will also recover all her past life memories here. I don't know if she can bear all this. Ji Hong secretly hates that he can't be with her to go through this with her. At least he can comfort her in time. Ji Hong is naturally familiar with this place as he has restored the memory of his previous life. Thinking of the demon lord sealed here, Ji Hong's eyes dimmed. They were still too weak. Now they don't even have the cultivation skills of their previous life, so how can they fight against the devil? Ji Hong has been suppressing his spiritual power and has not been able to break through and advance. Now he has no conditions to advance even if he wants to advance. The spiritual energy here should have been absorbed by the demon lord. The amount of spiritual energy needed to break through to the gods is not ordinary. The most important thing is that the purpose of their entry is to let Luoluo break through the third level of Pangu flower bloom, which requires a larger amount of spiritual energy. It is now approaching evening, and they only have 3 days. If they want to find a lot of spiritual energy in these 3 days, they can only go to one place. But the first thing now is to find where it falls. Ji Hong thought for a moment. Luoluo had been getting back her own power and things since entering the first training place. Then she would eventually go to see her master. Although he could not find where Luoluo was now, he knew where can Luoluo meet her master? Thinking of this, Ji Hong took a deep breath, looked at the direction, and hurried down the mountain. If it were outside the central place, it would be very dangerous to travel at night, but here Ji Hong knew that as long as he was not discovered by the demon lord, there would be no big danger. He is now worried that Luoluo will be discovered by the demon lord. Luoluo has a saint-level cultivation. No matter how many tricks he has and how many tricks he has, he is still vulnerable to the demon lord. But Behu and Xuanhuan are in her Pangu space. If something happens to her, she will know about it. Ji Hong hurriedly walked under the night, and Luoluo also didn't rest. There were only 3 days left, and she really didn't dare to waste even a night. Even though it was night, there were many people rushing like them because it was difficult to find a safe place to rest for the night. Therefore, most people were on their way, but others were not as anxious as the two of them and were walking aimlessly. Although Luoluo didn't have a clear goal, because he wanted to find the gift ring left by the powerful man, he rushed to another place with Ji Hong. The night passed quickly, and Luoluo looked at the 359 rings in the brocade box with a heavy heart. She didn't expect that she could find so many storage rings. There are 6 storage rings here that she keeps alone, because these 6 storage rings have the spiritual imprints of the 6 senior brothers she is familiar with. Now there is only one missing from the 360 holding rings. Although this one has not been found yet, Luoluo knows who it belongs to. Belonged to her master in her previous life. However, no matter how hard Zetian tried, she could not find this ring. Luoluo knew that if she found this ring, she would be able to see her master. The reason why she could not find it was that she had not recovered all the memories of her previous life. You are not qualified to see master. Looking at the sky that was getting bright again, Luoluo was really a little worried this time. Did she miss the opportunity? At this moment, she saw people in the distance running in the same direction, and Luoluo wondered if an opportunity had come. She quickly called on Zetian to run in that direction. Before she reached the place, she already knew why these people were going in that direction, and she saw a large lake in the distance. By the time she arrived, many people had gathered around the lake, and people were also coming from other directions around the lake. Luoluo also found a place with few people and came to the lake. The lake is very large, but it also has no aura at all. There wasn't even a wave, the lake seemed to be still. More and more people gathered around, and soon the whole circle of the lake was filled with people. But everyone just stood by the lake and looked. At most, they used their spiritual sense to check, but no one found anything in the lake. In view of the unusualness here, no one dared to go and explore it boldly. Yan Xianglou squatted down and picked up a handful of water with his hands, but he didn't have any water power at all. She has 5 element power, and anyone with a little bit of water element power in the water can detect it. You must know that even in places where mortals live, there is water power in the water source, but only very little. Such a big lake with so much water, but it doesn't even have a trace of water power, or even a trace of vitality. Yan Xianglou wondered in her mind whether this was her opportunity. If so, where was the opportunity? At this moment, Yan Xianglou felt a familiar force coming up from the bottom of the lake. She couldn't feel it when her hand left the water, but she felt it again when she put her hand in it. Because she did not dare to use the power of her spiritual consciousness, Yan Xianglou could only rely on her body's instinctive sensitivity to sense that familiar power. It came from underneath the center of the lake. Yan Xianglou looked at the people around her, and it seemed that they didn't feel the slightest bit of power. Could it be because he touched the water? It seems like we have to go down and have a look. How to do it? With so many people watching her, she couldn't just jump off on her own. The people surrounding the lake at this time were all spiritual practitioners and demon cultivators. She had to find a way to get out as soon as possible, otherwise things would be in trouble when the demons came. At this moment, a voice came from behind Yan Xiang, "Give me some room, let me pass." Someone was trying to squeeze in from behind, and Yan Xianglou's eyes lit up. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 876. When the person behind her was pushed, Yan Xianglou pretended to stand up, but before she could stand still, she was hit by the person behind her. She lost her balance and fell into the lake with a cry. Everyone around was stunned. No one thought that someone would fall. They were all monks with high levels of cultivation. How could they make such a mistake? But when I thought about the boy who fell down and was squatting before, I realized that it was purely an accident. But no one came to save Yu Xianglou. They didn't dare to go down before, but now someone fell in. They all wanted to take this opportunity to take a look. Is the lake harmful to people? Yan Xianglou had already figured out what these people were thinking. She shouted for help in fear, flailing her hands, trying desperately to get up, but it seemed like something was pulling her down, and she suddenly sank after a few times. Everyone who saw it was shocked. This was obviously not a normal sinking, but was dragged down by something. What's down here? Why didn't they sense it? Even if a monk can't float, he still has the strength to cultivate and can use his spiritual power to get up from the lake. How can he sink after just struggling a few times? Even ordinary people who don't know how to swim will definitely last longer than her. Especially those who stood with Yan Xianglou, they knew very well that although her cultivation was only at the saint level, let alone the saint level, any monk with a little bit of cultivation would not be drowned in the water. Everyone stepped back in fear, fearing that some monster would rush up under the lake and drag them down. At this time, Yan Xianglou had quickly dived to the bottom of the lake. The reason why she did this was to temporarily scare the people on the shore, so that they would not dare to come down for a while, and by herself some time. The lake was very big, and the familiar scent she felt was under the lake in the center of the lake. Yan Xianglou dived and swam forward. She did not use her spiritual energy, but her vitality. It took her a while to reach the center of the lake. Originally, she thought she would encounter danger under the lake, but to her surprise, she arrived at a familiar location without any hindrance. She understood that there was no life here at all. Naturally, no monsters could live here, so there was no danger. The water of the lake is very clear, and even there is a slight light at the bottom of the lake. According to her estimation, the lake is at least 20 or 30 meters deep. It is really surprising that there is still light at such a deep depth. But the advantage of this is that she can see the surrounding situation clearly. There are many dead underwater plants at the bottom of the lake. Although they have been dead for a long time, they still maintain their original appearance because they have not been touched. However, the place where Xianxia passed by was hit by water, and these corrupted plants instantly turned into silt. Xianxia didn't care whether the mud was dirty or not, so she reached out and dug into the place she felt. When she fell into the lake, Jishan turned into a wooden hairpin and stuck it in her bun. When he saw her digging mud with both hands, he immediately said, "Master, I'll do it." Xianxia shook her head, "The aura I feel is very weak, so I'll do it." She was worried that the power of covering the sky was too strong, and it would be bad if the things inside were soaked in water for too long and became weak and damaged. The originally clear water was stained by the mud she dug out. Soon, she was surrounded by muddy water mixed with mud, and her vision was obstructed. The turbid lake water was really too dirty. Xianxia simply closed her eyes, blocked her breathing, and dug deeper by feeling. There was more and more turbid water around. Xianxia didn't realize that centered around her digging, the mud was swirling upwards and the area of turbid lake water was getting bigger and bigger. About a quarter of an hour later, people around the lake saw that the water in the center of the lake was actually moving. Although the fluctuations were not large, it was still obvious. Not only was it moving, it was also a little turbid. Thinking that the person who fell before had disappeared in an instant, everyone unconsciously stepped back a certain distance, fearing that some monster would suddenly appear in the center of the lake. But after they waited for a long time, no danger occurred. On the contrary, the turbidity in the center of the lake was getting bigger and bigger. Everyone is confused, what is happening under the lake? But no one dared to go down to check. They all released their spiritual power and wanted to see what was in the center of the lake. But their spiritual power only detected a force spinning upwards, and they did not feel any living things. At this time, Xianxia had already dug a pit half a meter deep, but it was just because the surrounding area was too turbid that he couldn't see it. Suddenly, she felt more familiar aura, and at the same time, her hand touched a ring. Xianxia stretched out her hand to hold the ring and pulled hard. Although she did not use spiritual power, she also used vitality power. But the ring seemed to weigh 1,000 pounds. She used her vitality and strength, but it didn't move at all. Xianxia did not continue to use the power of her vitality to pull the ring recklessly. Instead, she held the ring in one hand and used her other hand to use her vitality to clean the mud along the ring. She then realized that it was no wonder that the ring could not be pulled. It turned out that it's because the ring is embedded in a huge, hard, cold object. She stretched out her hand and used her vitality to touch under the mud to the extreme distance without touching the end. What was this huge object? Xianxia changed her hand to hold the ring, and continued touching it in the other direction, and touched another ring not far away. Xianxia was stunned for a moment. She held a ring in one hand and felt the distance. Why did it look so like the two knockers on the door? She kicked her feet with her vitality, and sure enough, the lower parts were also in one piece. It's not really two doors, is it? Xianxia was speechless. There are two gates inlaid on the bottom of the lake. Let's not talk about how to open them with such high water pressure. Even if they can be opened, what's the point? The water in the lake will surge down in an instant, and everything in it will be washed away. Xianxia is holding a ring in one hand, and her body is floating upwards, with her legs above and her head below, in an inverted posture. If she hadn't been holding the ring in her hand, she would have floated up. Xianxia felt the familiar scent down there, and it seemed that she had to open these two doors. But she really didn't know how to open these two doors, or even how big they were. After thinking about it, She took out a piece of red silk and tied one end to a ring and the other end to her waist, so that she would not be able to find the ring. This piece of red silk was a whole piece of cloth, 13 meters long. She thought the door would not be higher than 13 meters. Xianxia began to look for the edge of the door. The fragrance falls ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 877. After searching for a long time, the two doors finally had a specific height and width in her mind. These were indeed two doors, 10 meters high and 6 meters wide. Why was she sure they were two doors? Because she felt that they were two whole pieces. Now that it is confirmed that there are indeed two doors, we must now study how to open the door. Xianxia held the two door knockers again, this time using her spiritual power, but the two doors remained motionless. Xianxia continued to increase her spiritual power, but until she used her strongest spiritual power at the saint level, the two doors did not move at all. Xianxia was a little discouraged. She couldn't open it even though she tried her best. What should she do? Do you still need to drop blood to verify your bloodline? But here is the bottom of the water and there is no way to drip blood on the knocker or door. Xianxia is really stumped. Jishan, come and try. Xianxia had no choice but to give Jishan a try. After all, it was a divine plant. See if it could open the door? Jishan immediately showed its original shape, and huge vines spread out on the bottom of the water. The lake water was instantly muddied, and the turbid area on the lake surface became larger. The people at the lake looked at the turbidity rushing towards the shore, and they all retreated further. Xianxia's previous worries about someone coming down were in vain. Two huge vines covering the sky grabbed the two door knockers and pulled them outwards hard, but the door still didn't move at all. Xianxia immediately shouted to stop and did not let Zhetian continue. Since there was no pull after pulling, it means that Shenzi's power cannot open these two doors. Xianxia was extremely discouraged. The water in the lake was so turbid that she didn't even dare to breathe. She couldn't see anything and was a little anxious. At this time, the people by the lake quickly moved to both sides. It turned out that a demon was coming. So many people retreated so quickly that in the blink of an eye, a large space was immediately vacant at the edge of the lake, which had been crowded together. Although they were afraid of demons, their curiosity made them feel that with so many people practicing spiritual and demonic practices, the demons would not attack them, so they stayed to see what was going on. Several demons arrived at the lake one after another, obviously not together. They looked at the lake and the people far away from them. I wonder what they were looking at around the lake. Upon closer inspection, I discovered that the lake water was surging from the middle to all sides. The turbid water was almost reaching the shore. What was under the water? The demons didn't want to think about it anymore. Their purpose was to find the woman in the red dress in the portrait given to them by the demon lord. They were not interested in other things. But the scene in front of them made them very curious. One of the demons cast his evil eyes across the spiritual and demonic cultivators. As soon as he raised his hand, the powerful demonic power rushed towards a group of people. Sensing the danger, the spiritual and demonic cultivators were frightened that the demon really dared to attack them and wanted to escape, but it was too late. The powerful demonic power caught a group of people. A large number of people were thrown into the center of the lake. The demon laughed loudly. What can you tell if you stand and see? Only when you go down can you know what is happening inside. As soon as the demon took action, the other spiritual cultivators and demon cultivators lost all curiosity and turned around and ran away without hesitation. In the blink of an eye, the people who were originally densely packed around the lake left completely, leaving only a few demons who had just arrived. At this time, the demons had no intention of devouring each other's power, and their curiosity was still in the lake. Looking at the people who were thrown in, they were desperately swimming towards the shore. The evil-minded demon used his demonic power to hinder them and desperately pushed them down to the bottom of the water. Those who were thrown down included spiritual cultivators and demonic cultivators, all of whom were above the level, but at this time they were like ordinary people with no power, being played by the devil. Xianxia at the bottom of the lake didn't know what was happening above, and had been thinking about how to open the two doors. Suddenly, a thought flashed through her mind. Could it be that the two doors did not open outwards at all, but opened inwards? After all, opening to the outside is actually opening to the lake. The pressure of water 20 or 30 meters deep cannot open these two doors at all, so it is more likely to open to the inside. Since the pressure of the water is downward, why is the door not opened? If it is really her memory inside, then it is because only she can open it. Thinking of this, Xianxia immediately stretched out her hand to hold the two door knockers. This time, she did not use her vitality, but added spiritual power to push inside. At the same time, she also used a trace of soul control power to inject her soul power into them. She originally wanted to give it a try, but she didn't use much spiritual power at all. The two doors were actually pushed by her and opened immediately. Unprepared, her body was carried forward and sank inside. The door opened wider, and she could no longer hold both door knockers at the same time, so she could only loosen one. Just as she let go, the two doors opened faster, and instantly she felt a huge sound coming from her back. Due to the pressure of the water, she was rushed in before she had time to think. The other hand that was originally holding the door knocker was forcibly released by this force. Xianxia waved her hands to control her balance, but the pouring water formed a huge vortex, and she followed the vortex downward at an extremely fast speed. She was extremely shocked. Is the door so deep? Can I still go out by myself? As for the spiritual cultivators and demonic cultivators who were tricked by the devil on the lake, the water suddenly formed a huge vortex downwards. They had no time to react, and they didn't have to press down on them because they were all sucked into the vortex and disappeared in an instant. Figure. The demons on the shore were stunned. What is going on? At this time, Xianxia, who had been falling with her eyes closed, felt her eyes light up. She instinctively opened her eyes and saw a large light group where she was falling. Before she had time to think about anything, she hit the light ball. The pressure of the water behind her disappeared instantly, and Xianxia fell to the ground. The whirlpool on the lake also stopped, and the lake returned to calm, as if nothing just happened. Several demons were stunned for a moment, then turned and left. They had no intention of taking any risks, so they had better hurry up and find the woman in the red dress. Nothing was more important than getting the real demon power. The group of people who were sucked into the vortex did not enter the aperture with Xianxia, but entered another place, which was also their opportunity. How unlucky they were before, they are so lucky now. And Xianxia was lying on the ground in an inelegant posture. She was speechless. If this was really all arranged by herself in her previous life, does that mean she was being played by herself? Xianxia moved for a moment, feeling that her body was not injured, and her internal organs that had been oppressed by the water pressure were relieved. She climbed up and saw clearly where she was. It looked like a huge cave, but it was very damp. The fragrance falls ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 878. The light in the cave came from the top of the head. Xianxia looked up and saw a beam of light shining down from the top of the head, just like the sun shining down from the clouds. How did you do that? Xianxia began to look around the cave, and there were only rocks. At this time, she was glad that the place where she fell just now was flat. If she had fallen on those rocks, she would have been seriously injured, and she might have died directly. Xianxia was speechless. Fortunately, she was not killed by herself. Since you have come in, it means that this is the place where you can retrieve your past life memories. So where are the memories stored? There are only stones here. Xianxia looked at the surrounding stones. The height ranged from 2 meters to 3 or 4 meters, high and low, and scattered in an orderly manner. There were roads to the front, back, left and right of where she was, and she was standing in the middle of the intersection. However, each road is very narrow and can only accommodate one person. Xianxia's eyes lit up. This was a formation. Although she couldn't pronounce the name of this formation, she felt inexplicably familiar and instinctively felt that this was a formation. She didn't study the formation or anything, and chose a path based on her own feelings. After walking for a while, she found that the formation was like a maze. But at every intersection she instinctively knew which direction to go. About one stick of incense later, the vision suddenly opened up. A circular venue with a diameter of 10 meters appeared in front of us. In the center of the venue was a white jade platform as tall as one person. The white jade platform is also round, about 2 meters in diameter, wide at the top and narrow at the bottom, like a tray, with exquisite patterns carved around it. There is a white jade box on the white jade platform. The box is not big, but it is not square, but round. After the soul returned, Xianxia saw the round jade box for the first time. The white jade box exudes a warm light. It is not full, but it feels very holy. Xianxia's heart beat violently when she saw the white jade box. She knew that she was not excited because she wanted to restore all the memories of her previous life, but the reaction between the soul and the white jade box. Xianxia stretched out her hand and pressed her heart, slowly calming down her mood and allowing her heartbeat to return to normal. After her breathing stabilized, she walked around the white jade terrace. There was no mechanism or anything like that. The height of the white jade platform was about the same as her height. If the white jade platform was not 2 meters in diameter and the white jade box was placed in the middle, she could reach this height with her hand. There is no choice now but to go up and get the white jade box. Xianxia jumped up lightly and jumped onto the white jade platform. Just when she landed on the white jade platform, a ray of light surged around the white jade platform, which connected with the light falling from above, and instantly formed a whole pillar of light, covering Xianxia and the white jade box. The entire cave was illuminated by light. The light was warm, making her instantly feel like she wanted to relax, lie down and take a nap. At this moment, Xianxia sensed that there was strong spiritual power in the light. It was not spiritual energy, but the kind of spiritual energy that monks absorb and transform during cultivation. It was real power. While Xianxia was still in shock, it penetrated directly into her body along her skin, and then rushed to the dantian and directly entered the golden cocoon wrapping Yuanying. Her body does not reject these spiritual powers at all. Xianxia knows that these spiritual powers should be the power left over from her previous life. These spiritual powers seem to have been compressed, and the spiritual powers that entered the dantian would double. However, the sleeping nascent soul actually sat up and began to absorb these spiritual powers. Xianxia, who had been at the first level of saint level, felt for the first time that spiritual power was stored in her dantian. She no longer felt like a bottomless pit in her dantian, and it became fuller. Could these powers from her previous life enable her to break through the third level of Pangu flower bloom? Xianxia sensed that the white jade box contained memories of her previous life. Why was she so sure? Because she felt that the atmosphere inside was the same as the memory atmosphere in the boxes she absorbed in the Daowen world. It would be a huge surprise if you could not only recover all the memories of your previous life here, but also break through the third level of Pangu flower blooming. There was no news that excited her more. Now that she has found it, Xianxia is not in a hurry to open the white jade box to receive the memory. She simply closes her eyes and absorbs the power in the light. She didn't know whether these powers would dissipate, so it was prudent to absorb the powers from her previous life. At the moment, improving her cultivation is the most important thing. She has not forgotten the purpose of entering the first training ground this time. Although Yan Xianglou is still dressed as an ordinary teenager, her aura is different when she closes her eyes. If someone sees her now, they will never think that she is ordinary anymore. Yan Xianglou stood on the white jade platform like this. The power in the light pillar was much stronger. After Yan Xianglou absorbed it for 2 full hours, the light pillar dimmed a little. At this rate, Yan Xianglou felt that it would take at least until tomorrow morning for her to absorb all the power in the light beam. If it comes tomorrow morning, she will only have 2 days to stay in the first training place. The most important thing is that she has not yet received the memory of her previous life. She cannot see the master without recovering the memory of her previous life. If she can't see the master this time, she will have to wait 3 years for another chance to come in. But she didn't want to wait that long. The situation of the demons was unknown now. So many demons from all over the continent meant that the sealed demons were about to break through the seal. Yan Xianglou opened her eyes and looked at the white jade box. Although she was absorbing power and accepting memories, it would be difficult for her to take care of everything if an accident happened. But now she must take the risk so that she can have a chance to meet her master from her previous life during this experience. Yan Xianglou has never been a person who procrastinates in doing things. Now that she has made a decision, she will not get entangled. She raised her hand, and the white jade box at her feet was sucked up by her spiritual power. The soul power was input, and the white jade box opened with a snap. There was a purple gold light ball inside, and Yan Xianglou was a little surprised. The memory and power here are exactly the opposite of the memory and power in Daowen world. The memory ball in Daowen world is white and the power ball is purple gold. The memory ball here is purple gold and the power is white. Since they are all your own power, how can it be different? When Yan Xianglou was confused, a purple gold ball of light rushed out of the box and rushed into the center of her eyebrows at a very fast speed. Her consciousness was once again occupied by the memory of her previous life. Yan Xianglou finally knew why the color of memory and power were opposite this time. Purple gold is not the color of her spiritual power, nor the color of her memory, but the color of her celestial master's power. Purple gold is to protect that power. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 879. In the past world of Daowen, I felt that power was more important in my previous life, and those memories were abominable. But here, my past life self feels that memory is important, and no matter how much power is consumed, it will not all be lost. After the memory entered her consciousness, Yan Xianglou suddenly felt a headache. There are too many memories this time, and the spiritual consciousness is much more painful than receiving the fused memories before. The others are bearable, but this headache is really unbearable. But Yan Xianglou didn't move at all, which did not affect the absorption of power at all. She closed her eyes again and began to absorb power and receive and fuse the memories of her previous life. Her headache felt like it was about to burst, and she had to hold it in no matter what she did. Time passed little by little, and the beam of light that shrouded Yan Xianglou became dimmer every hour. After the memory was absorbed and fused, my head finally became less painful. At this time, her dantian was wrapped in the golden cocoon of nascent soul, which was swollen and round like the belly of a full child. It seems like it could be burst at any time. Yan Xianglou was under the greatest pressure in history both physically and mentally at this time. As her memory of her previous life became more and more complete, she also understood the entire experience of her previous life. The emotions fluctuated greatly. If her concentration had not been strong enough, she would not have been able to accept the memory and at the same time bear the pressure of the golden silk cocoon being burst. Under the pressure of double pain, Yan Xianglou finally made it to the early morning of the next day. Just as she predicted, By the early morning of the next day, all the power in the light pillar had been absorbed by her. Her past life memories have also been absorbed and integrated by her. The golden silkworm cocoon that had been about to burst finally burst open at the moment when all the power was absorbed. Yuanying opened his eyes and stood up the moment the golden silkworm cocoon exploded. The delicate and perfect little doll in the fiery red dress finally regained her previous vitality. Seeing his nascent soul wake up again, Yanxiangluo knew that he was about to break through and advance. The monks from the lower continent are different from the local monks from the higher continent. They only awakened the nascent soul after breaking through to the level. They had awakened the nascent soul a long time ago, but after arriving in the higher continent, their level of cultivation did not allow them to possess the nascent soul at this level. Therefore, the nascent soul fell into a deep sleep and could only be awakened again when they broke through to the level. But she also realized that Yuanying did not wake up after her breakthrough, but woke up first and broke through with her. If you fail to break through, Yuanying will disappear completely. This does not matter to other monks in the lower continent. After all, as long as they can break through to the level in the future, they will have a chance to awaken the nascent soul again. But for Yanxiangluo, breaking through to the level is a matter of life and death. After success, she will enter a new stage of cultivation. Failure is the farewell of life and death. The breakthrough came very suddenly, giving Yanxiangluo no time to prepare. She quickly sat down cross-legged and started to advance. Saint level 1, 2, 3. Although Yanxiangluo knew very well that when she broke through the third level of Pangu flower, she would directly break through from the holy level to the level, but she did not expect to break through in such an unexpected situation. She actually had no idea, because all the power left over from her previous life had been absorbed by her. She didn't know if these powers could support her to break through to the level. If not, although there are spiritual stone veins in the mountains in Pangu space, and there is a lot of spiritual energy in the spiritual stone veins, she just has an idea and does not want to use the spiritual stone veins in Pangu space. Otherwise, Pangu space wouldn't have been open for so long, and she didn't even mine a single vein. But if there is a last resort, she must use it, but she is not sure whether the spiritual energy in those veins is enough for her to break through to the level. This breakthrough is slower than when Panguhua opened the second level, but it is only a relative comparison. When you break through the second level, you have to break through one level after another. It can be said that you break through one level after 1 or 2 breathing periods. Now at the third level, it takes about 5 or 6 breathing periods to break through to level 1. Hence why it is said to be relatively slow. Soon Yanxiangluo reached the peak of the 9th level of the holy level. At this time, she was really nervous. The most critical moment had arrived. Fortunately, the skyrocketing speed of her spiritual energy had no intention of stopping, and she finally broke through the third level despite her trembling worries, successfully breaking through to the level. Yuan Yingdu happily spun several times in her dantian to express her happiness. Yanxiangluo was overjoyed, but the surprises continued. After breaking through to the level, the promotion did not stop, it continued. Yanxiangluo had calmed down at this time. Because she had the memory of her previous life, she knew how much strength she had when she stayed here. However, she didn't know in her previous life that she had practiced the ancient Pangu flower blossom technique in this life and had broken through the third generation. How much spiritual power is required for the 3 levels? But after the breakthrough, she will be in trouble if she advances further. In her memory, the power here is all the power left before her death in her previous life. Even though she only had less than half of her cultivation strength left at that time, she still used that power to make some arrangements, but the power placed here it's also huge for her now. After calming down, she estimated that the remaining spiritual power should allow her to break through to the level of a god. As for the level of cultivation, it would not exceed level 5 at most. After successfully breaking through the third level of Pangu Huikai, Yanxiangluo's heart was completely relieved. After relaxing, she realized that she felt extremely comfortable both physically and mentally. This was the strength and state of mind of a strong person. The promotion finally stopped, and as expected, he did not advance further until he reached the 5th level of Xianxia. Yanxiangluo stood up, even though she had directly jumped from the holy level to the lower and demigod cultivation level to the upper level. According to her state of mind in this life, she should not be able to match it, and her cultivation level will definitely not be stable. If she cannot improve her realm to the same level as soon as possible, she will probably fall down. But when she was promoted, she received and fused the memories of her previous life, which was equivalent to having the state of mind of her previous life. Therefore, there was no conflict between her cultivation and her state of mind. Instead, her state of mind was higher than her current level of cultivation. In this case, she doesn't have to worry about her cultivation not being stable enough, but she does feel that her cultivation is not up to par with her current level. However, she could predict how fast her subsequent breakthroughs and promotions would be. Not to mention that the cultivation speed of Pangu Huikai's ancient skills after passing the 3 levels is very fast. Even if she now has the realm of her previous life, even without Pangu Huaxiu's ancient skills, her cultivation level will improve very quickly. As long as she has enough spiritual power, she can advance without any hindrance. Along the way of cultivation, Yanxiangluo finally felt proud and proud. The fragrance falls ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 880. However, now is not the time to be happy. There are only 2 days left. There is no time to think about anything else. She has to see the master immediately. With the memory of her previous life, the current first training place has no secrets for her. Even the central place is well known to her. She knew where to go to see the master. Jumped down from the white jade platform, raised her hand and took the white jade platform into the small world of her previous life. In fact, even if she didn't have the portable space in her previous life, she was still used to putting her things in the storage ring. It seemed like an instinct to not rely too much on Pangu space. Now that she has her own small portable space world in her previous life, she is very relieved and puts her things in it. This white jade platform is from her previous life. Although she does not use it often, this white jade platform is not white jade. Even in Zhezongtian, there are not many people who want to own such a white jade platform, only a handful. You can get twice the result with half the effort by practicing on it. After putting away the white jade platform, Yanxiangluo went back the way he came. Before, he just came here based on his feeling. Now he has recovered the memory of his previous life and knows what the formation is. This is the formation she created herself in her previous life, simply to protect her own strength and memory. No one can break it except her, because this formation is not offensive, it is just a protective formation. The protection method is very special, that is, it only recognizes her own soul aura. In other words, even if anyone else comes in accidentally, they cannot enter this formation and cannot even see it, so it is out of the question. What breaks the formation but does not break the formation? Finding the intersection where she came in, she stood on the intersection and lightly stamped her feet 3 times. The entire formation space shook, and all the stones that had been laid out collapsed. In just the blink of an eye, it became a ruin. The formation here had already broken. At the same time, a light on the ground enveloped Yanxiangluo. After the light disappeared, Yanxiangluo appeared by the lake. That ray of light was the teleportation array she set up at the same time. It could only teleport her, in order to allow her to leave smoothly. There was no one by the lake at this time. She didn't know that those spiritual cultivators and demonic cultivators were scared away by demons before, and the demons were frightened away by the huge whirlpool of the lake. At that time, a huge whirlpool appeared in the center of the lake, and the entire lake leaked downwards. Those people who were thrown in by the demon were instantly swallowed up by the whirlpool. Those demons did not leave immediately, but when they saw that the entire lake flowed away along the whirlpool, the originally large lake became a huge pit, and the whirlpool finally disappeared, as if there had never been a lake here, and there was no what a vortex. The demons were frightened and worried that there was something deadly and weird here, so they left quickly. At this time, Xianxia was also shocked. Where is the lake? Why is it gone? She understood in an instant. Could it be that after she opened the door, the whirlpool swirled away the entire lake's water? Where has the lake water been moved by the whirlpool? Xianxia glanced at the huge pit, called out Zetian, and continued on her way to where her master was. Jishan was sent into Pangu space by her when she opened the door at the bottom of the lake and was dragged down by the whirlpool. Now when I came out, I was surprised to see that the previous big lake had turned into a big pit. But seeing that its owner was leaving in a hurry, it didn't ask any questions and hurriedly flashed 2 leaves to follow. That's not right. Why is the owner's speed so much faster? It was walking with the owner at this speed before, so how come it fell so far behind in the blink of an eye? Zetian, hurry up, Xianxia shouted. Jishan quickly accelerated, the 2 leaves flickering so fast that he couldn't even see the frequency, and then he caught up with his master. Zetian took a closer look. If it had a face, his jaw would have dropped to the ground in shock. Doesn't the master want to break through to the level? Why is he now at the 5th level of level cultivation? It can't sense it wrong. Zetian immediately asked, Master, are you the 5th level of God? Xianxia nodded. After retrieving all the memories of my previous life, I also obtained the power left by my previous life. Not only did I achieve a breakthrough God level, and even broke through to the 5th level of God. Jishan said excitedly, Master is so awesome. It was only then that it understood why its elder brother Yun Tuan had signed a soul contract with its master. It wanted to follow such a powerful master for the rest of its life. Xianxia smiled, feeling very good after being praised by her spiritual pet. Let's go, I'll take you to see my master from the previous life. Xianxia was also in a very good mood. Although there are only 2 days left, it only takes 2 hours to get from here to master's location, so as long as there are no accidents, there is still enough time. Zetian was also in a good mood and flew ahead happily. However, because they were too fast, no one they encountered could see clearly what Jishan was, and they disappeared. An hour later, Xianxia pointed to the grey mountain road ahead. My master in the previous life was at the foot of that mountain. Zetian glanced at the mountain and said to Xianxia, Master, do you want to change back to your original appearance? Xianxia shook her head, I'll change it when I see the master. There was not much time and she did not allow any accidents to happen. Just as Xianxia was about to go up the mountain, she heard Jizhong calling her. She turned around in surprise and saw Jizhong coming from a distance, and her eyes were full of joy when she saw him. Xianxia went up to meet him. After the two met, they just stared at each other without making any movement or speaking. Jishan didn't know why. He felt that the atmosphere between the master and the male master was different from before, but he couldn't tell what was different. Only Xianxia and Jizhong knew that they were staring at each other from a lifetime apart. Only they understand each other's mood. Zetian is very curious. His master is now dressed as a man, and his appearance is not his original one. How did he recognize his master? The two of them stared at each other for a long time. Jizhong raised his hand to untie the face-changing pattern carved on her body, revealing her true appearance. Then he spread his arms, and Xianxia threw herself into his arms. 9 levels, Xianxia shouted with a choked voice. Jizhong was feeling lucky to have recovered, and he hugged the person in his arms tightly. He lost Luoluo in his previous life, but fortunately he got it back. At this time, he felt even more regretful. It was clear that he had known Luoluo for a long time in this life, but he was indifferent and let her suffer alone for 3 years. He even broke off the engagement as soon as they met. Now that he thought about how embarrassed she was when he first saw Luoluo, with blood all over her face, that was his Luoluo, how could he remain indifferent? "I'm sorry." Jiju's Hong's voice was choked with sobs. This apology represented his guilt for Luoluo in his past and present lives.